A Field of Honor by Hannah Bell and Jenna Willett. One day, nearly 3,000 Americans were brutally murdered. One day, American society would be changed forever. One day, because of war that is still being fought by American soldiers. One day. Born into a wealthy and influential family, Osama bin Laden's charismatic and powerful speaking allowed him to gain leadership of a coalition of Islamic extremists. They were united under their hatred of American occupation in the Islamic Holy Lands and the freedom of religion present in American society. The group, named Al-Qaeda, began as a military stand against the Soviet Union in the Afghan War, under the belief in Islamic God Allah. After the war, Al-Qaeda developed many military training camps in which radical Muslims were taught terrorist tactics and publicly supported terrorist attacks against the United States. August 7, 1998, United States embassies in Nairobi, Kenya, and Dar es Salaam, Tanzania, were destroyed in bombings by Al-Qaeda. These were the group's first tragic attacks against American forces. October 12, 2000, Al-Qaeda again believed themselves to be successful in the bombing of the USS Cole, a United States Navy-guided missile destroyer. This terrorist attack, along with the bombings of the United States embassies, made Al-Qaeda a prominent threat in regard to American values and society. September 10, 2001, the night before the tragic attacks on September 11, 2001, Al-Qaeda was carefully planning each part of the operation. An unknown affiliate with the attacks wrote a letter containing specific information beginning with Phase 1. Embrace the will to die and renew new allegiance. Familiarize yourself with the plan well from every aspect and anticipate the reaction and resistance from the apostle. Obey Allah and the apostle. Be patient, for Allah is with those who are patient. In regard to the journey to the airport, the next set of instructions were Phase 2. You must not show any signs of nervousness or stress. Wherever you go and whatever you do, you should always recite invocations and prayers with Allah's believers and memorize them. Instructions concerning the hijackings were set forth in Phase 3. O believers, when you come upon a group, stand your ground and invoke Allah many times. When the storming begins, strike like heroes who are determined not to return to this world. Tuesday, September 11th, 2001, 8 a.m. Now boarding United Airlines 2 pilots, 5 flight attendants, 33 passengers, and 4 undiscovered hijackers boarded United Airlines Flight 93 with ease. There were minimal requirements for boarding planes at this time. Passengers could bring objects such as box cutters, 4-inch blades, and even unscreened non-passengers through security. Unknown to the passengers and crew of Flight 93, Phases 1 and 2 of the hijackers' plan had been enacted, and Phase 3 was soon to unfold. 8:42 a.m. Now departing United Airlines. Losing all connection to occurrences on the ground, Flight 93 departed from Newark, New Jersey to San Francisco, California. 8:46 a.m. We understand there's been an incident. So we're looking at the World Trade Center. There's a major fire there and there's been some sort of explosion. There is one report as of yet that is not confirmed that a plane has hit the World Trade Center. Though many citizens believed it to be an accident, Al-Qaeda had orchestrated for a plane to be flown into the North Tower of the World Trade Center. 9:03 a.m. That looks like a second plane has just hit. I just saw it coming in from the side, and yes, there's the second explosion. You can see the plane. As the second plane was flown into the South Tower of the World Trade Center, people began to suspect that these attacks had been preconceived. However, passengers and crew aboard United Airlines Flight 93 were unaware that these attacks had occurred. 9:28 a.m. United Airlines Flight 93 was hijacked. Dear, our plane's been hijacked. Do you know what's happening? What's going on? It was just on the news. Some planes crashed in the World Trade Center. Oh my God. They said they're going to fly the planes to the ground. What plane? I don't know where. I gotta go. 9:35 a.m. Hello, you've reached United Airlines Speed Dial Fixed. How may I help you? Hi, yes, I'm a flight attendant aboard Flight 93. My name is Sandy Bradshaw. Hijackers have taken control of the plane. They said they have a bomb, one of them has a knife. They killed a flight attendant. Okay, I'll send this information to United Airlines Crisis Center. Is there anything else I can do to? Your call has been disconnected. 9:37 a.m.
Arriving at the Pentagon a short time ago, there was a huge plume of smoke, which continues to rise from the west side of the Pentagon. No explosion was heard, however, there is certainly a very significant fire in this enormous office building. The Pentagon is being evacuated.
Americans were frantic. Emergency forces were unaware of how to gain control of the attacks and questioned if more attacks would occur. Aboard United Airlines Flight 93, Mark Bingham called his mother, Alice Hoagland.
This is Mark. I just wanted to let you know I'm on a plane and it's been hijacked. I wanted to let you know I love you. I love you all.
Who are they?
I don't know. They say they've got a bomb. You've got to believe me, it's true.
I do believe you, Mark. Who are they?
Your call has been disconnected. 9:43 a.m. Passenger Todd Beamer called the Verizon Airphone Center. His call was intercepted by a representative and was soon transferred to Lisa Jefferson, a supervisor.
Hello, my name is Mrs. Jefferson. I understand your plane is being hijacked. Can you explain to me what's taking place?
3 people have hijacked the plane. 2 have taken over the cockpit. I think they have knives, and I think one of them has a bomb, and they're flying the plane. 2 people are lying on the floor in first class. I can't tell if they're dead or alive. The flight attendant next to me says it's the pilot and the co-pilot. Mrs. Jefferson, are you there?
Yes, sir. I want you to know that all the appropriate authorities have been notified, and at this point, if you believe your life is in jeopardy while talking to me, just put the phone down and try not to hang up. At this point, hijackers had started to fly the plane erratically. Passengers were unaware of the direction of the flight and whether or not it would crash.
I think we're okay now. Would you say the Lord's Prayer with me?
Yes, of course, child.
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name.
Thy kingdom come,
Thy will be done,
on earth
as is in heaven. I just wanted to talk to someone. And if I don't make it through this, would you do me a favor? Would you tell my wife and family how much I love them?
Yes, of course I'll do that. I'll be on this phone as long as you are. Passengers had noticed a change in the direction of the flight and congregated with the hope of overtaking control of the plane.
9:58 a.m. I think we're going to jump the guy with the bomb.
Are you sure that's what you want to do?
Yes. I'm going to have to go out on faith because at this point, I don't have much of a choice. Are you ready? Okay, let's roll.
Tuesday,
September 11th, 2001, 10:03 a.m. Phases 1, 2, and 3 of the hijackers' plan had tragically been completed. 10:03 a.m.
40 innocent lives were lost.
10:03 a.m. United Airlines Flight 93 violently crashed into a field in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. 10:03 a.m.
Islamic extremist group Al-Qaeda believed they had succeeded in the destruction of the American spirit. But as George W. Bush stated,
terrorist attacks can shake the foundations of our biggest buildings, but they cannot touch the foundation of America. America was targeted for attack because we're the brightest beacon for freedom and opportunity in the world, and no one can keep that light from shining.
Though the attacks on the World Trade Center and Pentagon had tragically succeeded, there was an underlying triumph within the hijacking of Flight 93. The flight was believed to have been intended to strike the White House or the U.S. Capitol building.
But because of the valor within the souls of the passengers and crew of United Airlines Flight 93, many lives were saved. The calculated destination was never reached. Though there was tragedy, there was triumph. Immediately following the 9/11 attacks, 2,800,000 people enlisted in the military, determined to preserve the values of the American dream. Small communities, large cities, and the country as a whole came together in order to triumph against terrorism. May 2nd, 2011, Osama bin Laden was killed by United States forces, greatly decreasing the activity of Al-Qaeda.
From the tragic events on Tuesday,
September 11th, 2001,
American souls were broken, but the triumphant American spirit held strong. With courage and strength, the passengers and crew of United Airlines Flight 93 were determined to fight for life,
liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
A field in Shanksville, Pennsylvania was a common field.
One day.
A field of honor.
Forever. Thank you.
Okay, you only have a second to look over your findings. How do you choose between the sources? Because you have some really fantastic ones in here.
feel like we just tried to get as many as we could in there because everyone is so unique and special and needs to be read and needs to be heard by everyone else. So I feel like for us, we just go through what we can, get as much in, and we try and pick out the most important ones and get them in first and get everything we can.
Yeah, collecting like a wide scope of research is most important for us initially, and then once we do that, we can go in and read stuff like the 600-page commissioner report about 9/11 and things like that, but that's secondary to the like other information that we find.
Do you remember what you were doing with this? How old were you guys?
I was actually born 2 days later, so my mom was just kind of like, oh my gosh, what am I bringing a child into this world?
And I was born in November, so yeah, I was kind of like,
This really is history.
Yeah. For us.
We chose the topic because over the summer, like 2 or 3 years ago, I was in Pennsylvania for part of my summer, and then I was traveling back and I actually visited the memorial, and it's one of the coolest museums I have ever been to. You can walk outside and see exactly where it crashed. They had amazing primary sources throughout the entire exhibition. It was just really an incredible experience too. Yeah, and we felt like with this theme it fit exactly perfect.
Were you able to access some of that material like online?
Yeah. Through online sources, yes.
The National Park Service.
Yes, it was
You
amazing.
actually had the data recording available to you for the phone calls and all that?
There's like transcripts of it. When I was at the museum, they do have audio recordings. They have like little phones set up that you can pick up and you can listen to them, but those aren't accessible online.
Was it hard to decide which characters to choose? Like which phone calls to use? Were there a lot of phone calls that went
There
on?
Yeah.
were a lot. A lot of them were disconnected, however, but the one with Lisa Jefferson and Todd Beamer lasted for the majority of the flight, so we felt like that one was extremely important to include because it was the one that could show us the whole span of the flight. And then the other ones along the way, I feel like we just really were interested in the characters and
Like we had different perspectives. There was a perspective of a passenger who was extremely panicked, although some other transcripts reported that the passengers were more calm and collected. We had the perspective of a flight attendant who, would probably have never expected this to happen in all of her years on the job.
yeah.
And then Todd Beamer, who really had this hope that things could.
And I think another reason why we chose these is they all called different people. Like Todd Beamer called Lisa Jefferson, which was
Just zero on the airplane.
Yeah. And then we had other passengers who called their families, and it was
Their
just
mother-in-law,
yeah.
doing
It
things
was
like
just
that.
and very inspiring.
Interviewing Lisa Jefferson was definitely something that was just so cool for us to. Well, she has a book actually, which we read her book before interviewing her, and we just were able to just get more of a first-hand experience. She said that the Lord's Prayer served as an inspiration to her throughout her entire life, which is why we decided to include it in the performance. And it was specifically noted in her book that Todd and her said it together on the plane. And
I
yeah.
feel like another reason we chose to say the Lord's Prayer was to contrast the two religions, because you have an extreme Islam religion, and then you also have Christianity shown through Todd Beamer, and they were obviously both very different, and I feel like that was important for us to show that religion had
Yeah.
a big impact on this event.
And obviously, it's important to note that the view of Islam is totally
Extreme.
extreme and
Very
radical, and
extreme.
not which most are practicing.